Great morning, everyone. My name is Nicole Messiah, and I have the honor and pleasure of being the DeKalb County Commissioner, District 3, as well as the Chair of PECS, Planning, Economic Development, and Community Services. I am here today in a special called meeting for PECS, along with my committee member, Commissioner Ted Terry, and also joining us is Commissioner Marita Davis-Johnson and Commissioner Ladina Bolton. We also have with us Madam CEO. Welcome, and thank you so much for being here with us today. All right, to get started, if you had an opportunity to review the minutes, any of my committee members, I'll open the floor up for a motion, please.
Actually, do we have...
Commissioner, there are no minutes posted on this agenda.
Okay, I see the first one. It says minutes here. Okay, that's fine. All right, so we don't have any minutes to approve, then we will move on to our first agenda item, and that is all commission districts. Well, that says the minutes, so that's why it's referring to item 2025-1522, and that is the minutes for the October 14, 2025 Planning, Economic Development, and Community Services Committee meeting. Okay. All right, so there you go. Yes, right here, open right now is our oath agenda. Apparently, it's not been switched out with our another one. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. And in the interim, we've had Commissioner Robert Patrick to join us as well. I'm loving the new haircut, colleagues, the both of you. All right, so we have the first item, ladies and gentlemen, will be the CEO's Sports Commission. I'm seeing them, with these amazing scarves right here. And so, Madam CEO, if you are ready, we will take it away from here.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. It is always great to be present in front of the Board of Commissioners, and today we are really excited. We've loaded our presentation. Several months ago, we had the conversation as it relates to FIFA and the World Cup, because of course we are proud to host in Metro Atlanta the World Cup for the upcoming year. And as a result, we were charged with the responsibility of going back and creating a marketing plan, developing some best practices to ensure that DeKalb County maximize the opportunity that's ahead of us. So, I have with me James Sismanakis from Discover DeKalb, and we are wearing our wonderful scarves. And we've also designed, shall I say, signature paraphernalia that's associated with DeKalb County and the constitution of what we call DeKalb United. We've developed an entire website, so we'll sort of walk through this quickly because I know you guys have a lot on your plate. But overall, too, we did bring you a written presentation and what the purpose of this sports commission is. We want everyone to understand that this goes beyond FIFA and the World Cup, because throughout the year, whether it's the Super Bowl that's coming in a couple years, Metro Atlanta is host to multiple organizations and sporting events throughout the year on which DeKalb County can capitalize as long as we are organized, and this gives us the framework that we need to bring together stakeholders that will be important in ensuring that we maximize opportunities. So the purpose of the commission is to facilitate formal planning as well as communication among public and private stakeholders. Also, the commission will serve as a centralized body for strategic coordination across government agencies as well as businesses and community organizations. And also, the Sports Commission will elevate DeKalb County's visibility, our readiness, and participation in regional sporting and cultural events while ensuring safe, mobile, transparent, and economic opportunities for residents and visitors alike. And in particular, I will say it's really important for our local businesses who have the ability to capitalize. Although there's a lot that remains unknown, the World Cup is 5 times the size of the Super Bowl. So there is an enormous amount of potential here for revenue capture. So in constituting DeKalb United Sports Commission, what we've done here is do our due diligence and our best to ensure that everyone has a voice. So I would have a designee. Each commissioner will have a designee that will serve on the commission. We'll have one representative from the Board of Education, one representative from each municipality. And then we also thought it was important to include partnering agencies like Decide DeKalb, Discover DeKalb, the DeKalb Entertainment Commission, Soccer in the Streets, the Georgia Department of Transportation, the Atlanta Regional Commission, MARTA, the Police Department, as well as Fire Rescue, because they are critical to the infrastructure that's needed for the large events, as well as the Atlanta Convention and Visitors Bureau. I'm very excited that we are cultivating a relationship there because this is a metro event, as well as our local colleges and universities, and also including a representative and representation from the Senate delegation. Now, we did not want to exclude any individuals that any member of the Board of Commissioners or governing authority may feel is necessary. So if there are additional stakeholders that should be added at any time, it's a matter of just making the recommendation, and we are happy to have them serve as a partnering agency and organization to help us ensure best practices. Now, commissioner involvement. Each district commissioner can recommend a stakeholder from their district because we all know the individuals within our districts, I've been there and throughout the county, who tend to bring and add value to organizations like this. And we also encourage you to personally participate by directing your members to give their input on our strategic priorities, as well as the commission's members may share with our commission relevant community input on behalf of each commission district. So we'll get to that because we've done a lot of research. Our website's pretty robust right now with different opportunities, and these are the timelines that we're looking at. We're right on the mark in terms of October, establishing the Sports Commission, November, membership and participant invitations and nominations solicited from all relevant stakeholders. And of course, we're going to turn this over to James, so over at Discover DeKalb, so you would send along to him any nominations. November 2025, we're also launching. So for those of you who have it on your calendar for this Thursday, I believe we have about 40 individuals who've already confirmed, and we are actually having the launch at the Chamblee City Center. And on December 20 of 2025, strategic planning framework will be finalized, and by January, we'll have full activation. Although we consider ourselves activated today, the website is in place. If you go there, things are moving along, and we are actively bringing on board viewing locations and sites. So January 2026 is when we believe that our first report should be due of the activities. And now I'm going to turn it over to James because he's worked with us and we're really excited. I don't know if the viewing audience can see this, but we call it the Pringle. And I'll let him tell you all about the Pringle.
Thank you so much, Madam CEO. Welcome, James. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yes.
Pleasure to be here. Appreciate Madam CEO including us. I love the Pringle. So this is, for anyone who can't see it, the Assembly's main facility out from the main sign. They're going to be hosting watch parties here where they're going to have a large crowd to be able to come out and view. So watch parties for everyone so they know is actually a scheduled game that you're going to have on TV or in a big facility. You have to actually have permission to do these type of facilities for cities and for them. They work with Telemundo, so they automatically have the ability. But there also will be, let me just keep going here. Okay, some other watch party locations. First one we already talked about is Assembly. Then Decatur has actually launched several months ago, coming out with their plan with their new downtown square, Chamblee City Hall, and Exo Tucker Brewing Company. So if you have a sports bar that runs sports full time, you can automatically have watch parties. But if you're a city or a downtown area, things like this, you have to have special permission and pay fees through FIFA, which is part of the website.
And the documents are online for businesses.
Documents are online for any businesses that would like to have their own watch parties or any of the other towns, communities in DeKalb to do that. The other thing is tying in restaurants, because the amount of people coming in for World Cup and the international flavor of the people coming in, we want to be ready for our restaurants. But one of the other things that the Convention Visitor Bureau is doing is we will be having the finale of a Beaufort Highway documentary, which will be used to promote dining, international culture, food on Beaufort Highway. So that is going to be done by the end of the year to be launched to promote coming to DeKalb for your dining and culture experiences. Entertainment, of course, we already have the DeKalb United website. We have Discover DeKalb website and others where you have the different attractions, things to do in and among DeKalb County and among all of our different cities.
And all of them are hyperlinked.
We have all the trails, all the major attractions, museums. Well, the other thing is, if you see PDK, it's not typically an attraction, but it is, because so many people will be flying in to PDK. And one thing Madam CEO wanted to make sure of is that you know you're in DeKalb. You're in Chamblee, you're in DeKalb, you're not just here in Metro Atlanta. So that's very important to have the PDK airport ready to go. So talking about the history of World Cup, I mean, do you want to play the video?
Well, I don't know how many minutes it is. We can get,
Yes.
okay.
Go right ahead.
Is it the button to play the video?
We tried to make the website very interactive and educational, and following the launch this Thursday, we will be creating finalizing, I should say, a DeKalb unique video that will go on the website. But Diamond, if you're there, please feel free to click, because this is an incredible video. It's very short, but it gives you the history of FIFA, and it also has helped a lot of people understand exactly how big and the magnitude of the event itself, if we can get some volume.
Percent of the entire planet. But the story of the World Cup is even crazier than you can imagine. It's one full of controversy, politics, passion, and love for the beautiful game. So, this is the entire history of the World Cup.
Laura Pereira hit by Hamas! Oh, what a goal! Surely now! Surely now! Spain have won the World Cup! Argentina campeón del mundo! Argentina campeón del mundo!
This story begins almost 100 years ago, before the World Cup was even an idea, because in 1914, FIFA decided to recognize the Olympics as the Football World Championship, meaning the country that won the Olympic football tournament would be crowned as the world champions, and it stayed this way for over 20 years until the 28th of May 1928, when FIFA President Jules Rimet had a golden idea that would shape the future of football forever. After seeing the global rise in popularity for the sport and the major success of the Olympic football tournaments, he wanted FIFA to stage its own international tournament outside of the Olympics, which is how the idea of the World Cup was born. And within just 2 years, this idea was turned into reality, as the first ever World Cup was hosted in 1930. This World Cup would take place in Uruguay, as they were the current world champions, having won the previous Olympic tournament. Now, the location of this tournament proved to be problematic problematic for the European countries as there was a long journey by ship and Europe was going through a financial crisis at the time, so most nations couldn't afford the trip over. This first edition was attended by a total of 13 countries, 2 from North America, 4 from Europe, and 7 from South America. Egypt were set to be the only African team taking part, but due to bad weather, their ship had to be delayed and they missed the tournament. Japan and Thailand were the 2 Asian countries invited.
Okay, I think that's enough because I'm not sure, Diamond, how many minutes is the actual video?
The first ever World Cup.
Okay, so we'll just cut it, but when you go, it's going to carry you all the way up to modern day and where we are for this World Cup. So it's a great documentary. It also shows activations too that we think will be very beneficial. So I'll let you take it back over again.
Thank you, Madam CEO. So the DeKalb United website is up and running. It has watch parties currently that we know of. It'll be updated as we have additional watch parties. There are active links. With the cities, with their restaurants, all the cities are included in the website, the leadership and their organization, so you can actually link to the cities, link to hotels, link to attractions, link to food. We'll be adding the documentary for Beaufort Highway, so that's in there. There are activations that will be included. We have an activation that's going to be in 3 locations in North America: Montreal, DeKalb County, and Mexico City, that we're going to be doing for international film. And then we're going to have 2 weeks currently with 4 German football clubs, soccer on our part, that could expand to additional international clubs. And St. Petersburg, Florida is already interested in helping sponsor to bring our exhibit down there. And Tampa is one of our biggest feeder cities. So there's a lot of activities already going on with FIFA World Cup. So watch sites, these are the 4 currently. We do expect a lot more to be added. And on the website is directions on how to do that, how to link up with us so we can update it. Different attractions, as we talked about, with all links, so they can actually take a look at the attractions. And in our website, we have transportation information, because if you're not from here, I went to Europe and it was hard trying to figure out what to do over there. So you can imagine what it's like for them to come over here. So we have links like that on Discover DeKalb's website. All of them will be working together. So that's the nice thing, the beauty of this. Talking about the food and different, I like steakhouse, that sounds good to me. Sorry, I like steak. Your hotel accommodations, we'll be working with that page and to make sure that all the DeKalb hotels, full DeKalb hotels will be on this. The different, we have a video that is actually, I believe, the one from Discover DeKalb that's running on the website. And I'm trying to think if there's any other. So as far as activations, we're going to be looking at more and more activations, because one of the things that I tell my board and I tell my staff is the world is looking at the United States. They're looking at Atlanta. They're looking at Georgia, looking at Atlanta, and we want them to be looking at DeKalb County. So that's the goal, and Madam CEO wants to capitalize on all of this to bring DeKalb in the forefront. But as she says, 28 Super Bowl, 31 probably Women's World Cup, and on.
And we realize this is a lot, but after the full activation that would take place this Thursday, next week we would generate I guess you'd say a dedicated newsletter that will go out to the broader community, and in particular to the business community, making them aware of the potential to join us through activations at their locations. And we will send this to you in such a way so that you can just add yourself at the top. We don't care. Just utilize it, send it out to each one of your districts, because of course, through the central office, we may not have everyone that is in your database, so that local businesses are aware and people will begin using the website as a portal. We put a lot of work into it, and I think it looks really, really good. I'm going to go back a little. The video is great in terms of showcasing DeKalb and who we are. And at this moment, we've watched carefully also what's going on in surrounding metro jurisdictions. And I would like to say that I think we're leading the pack on what we've done. Everything looks immaculate, and I think it's a good representation of us. But again, we are 100% open to suggestions and ideas. So as you maneuver through what we've presented, feel free to reach out, send emails, and we are more than happy to make updates. But also, in terms of constituting the Sports Commission, we have now signed the actual executive order 2025-7, and we will now circulate a copy to you all for review. And I think it's more than accurate in order to get us through this as well as other sporting events. It gives provisions for dissolution, because as you know, we have a lot of committees that come and go, and the need does, because we don't always have a Super Bowl or a World Cup that's happening at that particular time. But the purpose would be for it to live on, so that as there are new opportunities, constantly updating data. And I want to say thank you to James, because we don't need another thing to do on the 6th floor. And this falls in line well with your skill, and you have a vested interest in the outcome of tourism. So we're thankful to have completed this and being able to pass it on to you. And at this time, if there's any questions, that's fine. If not, feel free to just become familiar with the site, maneuver through it, and reach out to us, and we'll respond.
Thank you so much, Madam CEO, James, and Martha, all of your work that you've done here. Just a couple of quick questions. Would you mind repeating again that date that you shared earlier in terms of the kickoff?
It is Thursday, November 6th at 6 p.m. 5:30 is when we begin, and it's at the Chamblee City Center. And I will say that we have invited all of our mayors. We will also be updating them at the DeKalb Municipal Association as to where we are. We have also invited the entire delegation to be present. And of course, we have 100 gift boxes that includes what is uniquely DeKalb. And now we're trying to figure out, because people like this, I think we did a great job with the color, maybe we can generate some revenue and start selling these things if it doesn't violate anything associated with DeKalb, because we have jerseys, DeKalb County's Sports Commission. We are bona fide. We have everything. So we actually look like our own organization. And we are encouraging, because about 2 weeks ago, I met with Hilton Howell from over at the Assembly, and we talked about the activations at the Pringle. So we are going to work with them and provide files for all sites that serve as host, so that they have official logo that is in line with our branding and our marketing. So you'll see, linear boards over there as you're driving down the highway that has, DeKalb United Sports Commission on it. We'll also provide, to a limited extent, merchandise, and we're encouraging them to purchase for their locations, because you cannot charge a fee based on the FIFA requirements to attend an event. However, many of the locations are going above and beyond. There will be everything from food trucks. And if people desire to purchase gear, then we want to have it available to them. So that is something we're still exploring, because we didn't think, well, I didn't personally think people would like it so much and think it was so cool. But in many ways, what we've done here is create memorabilia that'll last on, because how often do you get the World Cup?
Thank you so much. You have the tour championship in Eastlake every year. Mm-hmm. So to your point, we have some new sporting events coming up, but then we also have some old ones that continue year after year, and it's exciting what you guys have done. In terms of the history, a colleague just asked, can we access the history, that video, and be able to watch the rest of it through the website?
You certainly can as soon as you go there. And also to the commissioners, because, I want you to be as involved as you want to be. If you would like to shoot go down to DCTV and draft your own messages or message to your constituents, if you'll send it to us, we will upload it for you. We'll put a little button that you can click, and you have your own personal message.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Commissioner Terry, do you have any questions, any thoughts? All right. Commissioner Patrick?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess my first question, Madam CEO, is if we wanted to try and get someplace like Pleasantdale Park, which is nestled well between a lot of multifamily and single-family residential housing, how could we get that added on to there?
Well, when it comes to the parks, we just need to, first of all, ensure the responsible party, and then work with, of course, DeKalb County PD, or, if it's a different municipality, to ensure that we have proper coverage.
Right.
Because public safety is a huge concern during this time. Yeah, and FIFA has regulations, but in order to help locations that are interested, we have put a resource directory on the website.
Okay.
So if you're wanting to be a part, then you have the ability to read through it and then supply us with the necessary information, and we'll go ahead and get you approved. For instance, the Assembly, the Tucker Brewing Company, and the others, they have all received their information packets. So once you've signed, you'll go live.
Understood. Okay. Second idea, and this has been kicked around lightly, half-hearted joking, but this could be an opportunity. We should find someone who could bottle DeKalb County water and have our own branded water bottle, and we can call it DeKalb's Finest.
I like that.
And it goes with your FIFA packet right there.
Yeah, actually, James said that's pretty easy, so we'll leave that in his court. Because honestly, one of the only things we didn't order was a water bottle or a cup. Okay. Of some sort, a cup that could be utilized.
You can even do it like in boxes.
Okay.
Box water, so
yeah.
It's more sustainable.
Yeah.
So there's different ways you can do it. You just have the shelf life.
Understood. And then I guess the final thing, and this coincides with the idea of us building out our trails countywide, interconnected, regardless of municipality or unincorporated DeKalb. But I think your website that you've set up here would work perfectly with a way to advertise in the future, perhaps a countywide bicycle race, tour of all the cities.
I like that, tour of cities. Mm-hmm. We could incorporate that into the actual week of activities.
Yep.
I think that's a great idea.
Yep.
Because when it comes to our trails and getting people out in activation, I often refer to trails as transportation.
Absolutely.
And I look forward to us being the group who finally closes the loop of the Atlanta Beltline, so that we are getting the traffic and the transit-oriented development.
Yep.
So great idea. And
then the final one, and don't laugh at me when I say this, we need to bring the Olympics back.
Who?
The Olympics. Bring them back. We've already got the infrastructure. We've got the fields. We'll bring it to DeKalb as well. But we have all the infrastructure in place. And if we need to improve it, then that's a great opportunity and rationale to improve it. And this website, again, would be a great way to push that idea out.
Okay, well, Martha says it's a great idea, so Martha's going to be accountable for that part.
Thank you, Martha.
Because I'm still trying to understand exactly what you said. But, I'm very excited, and we took the time to divide out the types of the restaurants by type. So I'm really excited. It took a lot of work, and James was really instrumental. We used standard industry codes to pull down the different types of restaurants, to separate them. In some instances, we've had to get photos because we wanted high resolution, and not everyone had what we wanted, so that the site is a good representation of DeKalb and what it has to offer.
Thank you, Madam CEO. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You.
Commissioner Davis Johnson.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good morning. I'm excited.
Me too.
About this. My question is, is there a jurisdictional type committee that is work? Because I remember when the Olympics were here, I think it was 1996. They did events throughout the metropolitan Atlanta area, because I do know that they had official events like at Stone Mountain. And so are we working along with the different jurisdictions of metropolitan Atlanta to see what events, what official events also will be in DeKalb County?
Yes, we are. And I'm going to ask Martha, because you can come on up. I know you may not want to, but let me say to you that as it relates to jurisdictional events, just as we've come to you, when we go to the DeKalb Municipal Association, we have all 12 of the cities. And in many instances, they know better the businesses that are well suited for their city than we do. So now the charge becomes to everyone. As of the launch, we will have an entire packet in their box to go back and help us build our activation sites. Now, also across the metro area, there are other activations that are going on, and Martha, I'll let you speak to those.
Thank you, Madam CEO. Good morning. I do hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I'm excited for this Thursday. We do have also all of our council members that we invited, and they will be present. So really excited about that. Yes, so we have been in close conversations with the City of Atlanta over the course of the year, since the beginning of the year. So they are giving us updates. We're working very closely as it pertains to public safety. That's very, very important to us. In addition to that, I don't know if you were familiar, but earlier in the year we discussed federal funding that was coming down for public safety. So that is hand in hand. We're also working with Showcase Atlanta. They are the official branding marketing for the City of Atlanta as it pertains to FIFA. And so we are in touch, and we're working with all of our partnering cities and counties. We also have been sitting down with the chairs asking them, what are you guys doing on the official side? Again, FIFA has its regulations, and it is a slow rollout for them. So whatever the City of Atlanta has given to us is what we're giving to you all. And so we'll be updating that as they continue to give us information on the official sites. But the Assembly, it will be an official site along with a few others. But again, to become an official site or location for a watch party, there are very strict regulations that we have to follow, and so we'll be updating you guys on that. But as far as what we have is ready, and Telemundo is actually wanting to partner with DeKalb County as well, because they will be showcasing it in Spanish as the official partner to FIFA. And so we are working to try to partner with them to try to do some watch parties as well.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Davis Johnson. And just as a thought, in terms of locations in different jurisdictions, just realizing that we have an opportunity to add watch party locations on the south area of DeKalb County as well. We have Rainbow Park Amphitheater, Stonecrest, and so I can imagine that the process, as you just shared, is tedious to try to get a location as an official, watch party location. We have 2 soccer fields that are being built right in District 3 as well. So there's just, an opportunity to host and have watch parties in the South DeKalb as well. Commissioner Terry?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I did want to, I think this is already on y'all's sort of radar, but the station soccer at Kensington.
Yes.
There was some sort of comment earlier this year about how MARTA wouldn't allow the use of their facilities for any sort of activities. But I mean, station soccer is already being used by the community, and I mean, I guess there might be some commuter traffic. Maybe those parking spots will all be full.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're trying to get to downtown to the stadium. But we do have, space within the station. There's space around the station soccer that we've done little community festivals there before without it taking up any, use, parking spots. And we have that little green, little buffered crosswalk area as well that could create a corridor of activity. So I hope that's not like MARTA saying we can't do anything there. If we just need to work out the logistics and security and stuff, let's do it, because that is, frankly, that's our only unincorporated DeKalb County station soccer. Yeah. And I know there are other soccer fields that we do have throughout the county are important, but that one seems like it would be a good activation since it's on the MARTA line. I think they were already talking about doing some sort of station soccer tournament or something throughout all the station soccers, and since that one's kind of our main one, I know there's one in East Lake, so maybe Decatur will entertain a partnership there. But Kensington is ours, and I think we should, fully activate it in our own way within the Sports Commission framework. Thank you.
Understood. And if I may, Madam Chair, Soccer in the Streets has confirmed, and they will be present on Thursday, and they've been responsible for the activation at Kensington. So MARTA has not said no. I know that pretty early on, to be very honest, it wasn't until we went to NACO in D.C. that we started to get answers to many of the questions. And even thereafter, it was quite difficult, getting, having communications. But we've moved forward, and we do believe now, because it is my understanding, one of the biggest encumbrances, I believe it was $62 million that had been requested from the federal government to provide for public safety, and those monies had not been confirmed. It is my understanding that at least a tranche has come in, and I know from MARTA they were very concerned about safety. So I do believe that if the monies are available and there is the assurance that adequate safety is in place, that we can move forward with an activation there. I think that was their biggest issue or concern. So we will continue to nurture that relationship and make sure that as long as the funds are in place, we can do an activation at Kensington, because I agree. We agree. Okay.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Terry. Madam CEO, Commissioner Bolton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I only have 3 questions. Before I ask them, I just want to say your team always does an amazing job with presentation and marketing of the ideas that you guys have. And I'm partial to that blue and gold. I just want to make it clear. You couldn't have chosen better colors. So I'm for that. But the first of the 3 questions that I have is if there, and I'm sure there will be an official FIFA site, will the DeKalb United site be a link from that site leading to our sports? No, and I'm sure James could speak to that. FIFA and the cost that is associated with an actual relationship is in the millions. Okay, I'm good.
The biggest link that we're going to be able to have is with the Atlanta Convention and Visitor Bureau. So the biggest link we'll have is with us to Atlanta Convention and Visitor Bureau, but that's from like a CVB to CVB type point of view, but not directly from a FIFA point of view.
Gotcha, understood.
We're not allowed at all to use the name FIFA, nor are we permitted to use their logo. Everything associated with them requires a licensing right and millions in investment. So our intent is to capitalize independent of making that type of investment. I do believe the only Metro Atlanta jurisdiction that has the ability to utilize the logo is the City of Atlanta. And it was pre-negotiated as a result of the desire to utilize the City of Atlanta for the games. Otherwise, it is proven to be difficult or encumbering because of the major investments that would be required for logo and such.
Understood. And that's a great segue into my next question. in which a couple of months ago, before we transitioned leadership, CEO of MARTA, one of the things, and I believe it was a CAL meeting that I brought to his attention, was I'd like to see us do, at the time I said, a World Cup or FIFA travel pass where we charge maybe $1 or so more. But I could see us doing a DeKalb United or a Sports Commission travel pass, which could, for all those hundreds of thousands of people that come and don't know how to use our form of public transportation, we help them get to whatever sites. And because we're already marketing or sharing the information of specific restaurants on the site, we could potentially kind of interface that as well. If they're using the travel pass to get to the restaurant, maybe the restaurant has a discount or something to encourage the use of public transportation, but we also get a few extra dollars out of it that we could use later to build out our transportation system. But if we can consider a DeKalb United travel pass that's $1 or so more, that we market through this platform, MARTA's platform, and in other capacities.
Okay, and let me say that one of the things we're exploring is in the DeKalb-facing MARTA stations, we're going to create a QR code that is very much like a link tree that has different items listed, which would include a lot of what you see on the website, as well as all of our watch locations. And we, with your permission, can advertise those locations in our MARTA trains, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Let us come back to you. I don't want to stand here and manufacture a response as it relates to the DeKalb United Travel Pass, because again, we can do anything, but we cannot in any way use the name FIFA. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, and MARTA, of course, they are a part of the commission, so they have been great partners with us, and as we've had discussions. But allow us to explore this and give us a week or two.
Okay, wonderful.
To respond.
And then the final thing that I had a question about, and I've had conversations with DEMA earlier in the year about strategies, a regional approach to safety, and I'm just curious about whether, as far as you're familiar, will there be some briefing or opportunities for commissioners to participate in whether it's the training or just a briefing on the strategy regionally, because in the event it becomes necessary to implement trans-jurisdictional emergency management or emergency response. I just want to make sure that we are aware so we can, when necessary, share that with our constituency.
Understood. And I think for us, it's as simple as sending you the invite if you guys want to join us. I believe at this point we've had about 3 meetings that were totally devoted to public safety and bringing DEMA, our fire department, our police officers, everyone to the table, along with the city of Atlanta. Okay. Because that's at this point the major partner that we work with on the safety, because they're the ones receiving the revenue. But also I want to say that because DeKalb County has only one source of clean potable water, during the Olympics we are planning to increase public safety at certain key facilities across DeKalb County, simply because we can't risk any potential adverse conditions here in DeKalb as a result of people coming in. And unfortunately, because of the time we live in, we just want to be cautious. And go ahead.
Yes, so earlier in the year, we started having public safety meetings with the city of Atlanta. They were hosting them. We did schedule out to have tabletops with the commissioners for FIFA, but because there has been a transition, we are going to start that early next year. Okay. And so we'll keep you all updated. We also want to involve our cities, so we're going to invite our mayors as well to to participate in these tabletops. But yes, we had a full schedule for the year. Again, there's been a lot of transitioning happening, and so we'll be sending out that schedule, working alongside our DEMA director and the City of Atlanta, because they actually want to host us specifically as it pertains to public safety and FIFA.
Wonderful, thank you. And I yield back.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Bolton. Are there any last thoughts or questions? Commissioner Patrick.
Madam CEO, what is the horizon for your crime center surveillance system? And will it coincide with this, or?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Our real-time crime center will be fully functional before the end of the year. We are looking at really around December 1st, but of course, you know, you want to give some time for testing and so forth. But I'm very proud of the investments we made with the $18.9 million investment. We will be able to bring a lot online, but that is a 6-year investment. But yes, our real-time crime center will be active. Also during that time, we now have portable cameras that we can use because, of course, you know, we're dealing with a lot of tire dumping and other issues that will be very beneficial during this time, even at sites where there are activations, like our watch sites that would have electronic license plate readers to help provide for safety. So that's why Chief Padrick, as well as our Public Safety Director Lumpkin, sit in on meetings so that they will know how to best secure those particular locations to ensure optimal safety.
All right, thank you much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Patrick. Thank you so much again, Madam CEO, James, Murtha, for everything and providing us this information.
Okay, hopefully we'll see the majority of you on Thursday, but if that's not possible, we'll make deliveries of your wonderful boxes.
Thank you so much. Scarves are going to come right on time. We're getting cold. It's getting cold out there. Thank you. So for those following along, we're on page 1, the middle of page 1. The next agenda item is 2024-0935, all commission districts, a resolution establishing an affordable housing trust fund for DeKalb County, Georgia. And I do believe we have some updates to that, Commissioner Terry.
Yes, I believe we have Dr. Ferguson provided a memo for this legislation with some proposed changes. So, Zach, if y'all want to go through that now, that'd be great. We'd love to go through those, and hopefully we can discuss them. And if we like what we're looking at, we can maybe move forward.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So Dr. Ferguson will come and kind of walk through the document that he has provided and share his thoughts on how this should work moving forward.
Thank you so much, COO Dr. Ferguson.
All right. Hello and good afternoon, Madam Chair and Commissioner members. So I was asked to review the proposed legislation, and I responded with a memo detailing some recommended changes to the legislation where I thought would create a more robust program, but also a more transparent program, and quite frankly, an easier to implement and manage program in regards to an affordable housing fund. And so what I've proposed is to essentially create an allocation carved out of the general fund revenues to support an affordable housing fund under DeKalb County. The intention of the fund would be to support affordable housing initiatives throughout the county, since the revenues would be garnered from throughout the county. It's only appropriate that it's available to serve various functions throughout the county. Also, with this proposed legislation and it being funded out of an allocation of dollars from the general fund, I believe that there's really not a needed and necessary attempt to divert funds from the other legislation that you'll be hearing about regarding an allocation of the hotel motel tax to support affordable housing. I think the Affordable Housing Fund, as it's currently constructed, which is a phased-in approach, dedicating beginning at 1% of general fund revenues and then stepping up over a 3-year period until 2% of general fund revenues, and thereafter would provide an adequate funding source, to support, various affordable housing activities. And so with that, I propose an outline in terms of proceeding with next step. First, permission, provided that the PECS committee is in support and recommends to the Board of Commissioners, and subsequently the Board of Commissioners approves us to proceed with directing the Chief Financial Officer to set up the mechanism to reserve those funds for the purpose of affordable housing, for establishing the Affordable Housing Fund, but as well as the steps needed to create essentially the programmatic efforts for the uses of the funds, and with those programmatic efforts also going through some stakeholder engagement with the community to socialize what the intended or proposed programmatic uses are, garner real-time feedback from the community to make sure that we're in sync with what we're proposing to what the community needs, especially the nonprofit development community needs from a resource standpoint, and that those efforts are aligned before we return back to the Board of Commissioners for formal approval of those uses, the expected guidelines and parameters around that. So that's essentially, a summary of the memo that I presented, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions around that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ferguson, for putting it together. And I will tell you, I had some concerns in terms of the formation of a trust. And so your memo and the suggested changes, addresses those concerns. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And Commissioner Terry had some questions as well.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And yes, I recognize that we have changed the name to an Affordable Housing Fund. So that I think that clears up anything, just so we're not confusing it with any other version of a trust. I think the big decision that we as commissioners have to just sort of get on board with is the allocation of the general fund revenues. And so it's 1% for next year's budget, FY 2026, and then 1.5%, so it goes up 0.5% FY 27, and then up to 2% for FY 2028. I might argue we should try to get to 3%, but obviously we can decide that later if we want.
I'm not going to fight you if you want to allocate.
Yeah. But I will say I think the 0.5% every year is sort of a measured response. Just we never know sort of the states of the economy or budgets, and so that's kind of a reasonable approach. So, but I'm glad that we're growing it over 3 years, so that gives an opportunity for the Chief Housing Officer, as well as the internal stakeholder group or the internal working group that eventually will be turned into an advisory committee to help sort of get the process going, and then hopefully as we see positive things come online from that initial investment, we'll have more the next year, and then the next year to keep the work going. And then I guess just because Commissioner Long-Spears is not here, there might be a couple like wordsmithing that maybe we need to work out, but from your point of view, as long as we're on track to approve this, before the end of the year, that gives you sort of the confidence to begin the one of the goals, which is the implementation, the operational plan by January 2026. Is that still enough time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I've had some experience. You can imagine doing these types of things before, and I think that'll give me more than ample enough time to pull together the internal working groups to come up with a suggested list of programming efforts, as well as to begin socializing those within community stakeholder meetings.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yield back.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Terry. Commissioner Davis-Johnson.
Good morning,
Right,
Dr.
good morning.
Ferguson, and thank you so much for sort of guiding us through this. And we're beginning to see a collective effort between the administration and the board. And so I can really appreciate that. This substitute that we were given this morning, is that reflective of your thoughts and input in the resolution?
Yes, if it's the substitute that was circulated, I want to say maybe Thursday, Friday of last week, then that's the final,
Okay,
final document.
so I'd like to ask somebody from central staff that brought this substitute up. Is the substitute resolution establishing an affordable housing fund for DeKalb County, is this the same substitute that we're talking about from Dr. Ferguson?
Yes, I had pulled this from an email Dr. Ferguson circulated last Thursday. That is
Okay.
the most recent documentation. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay then. Thank you.
Commissioner Patrick?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to acknowledge that I think a fantastic statement that was in here, and I just misplaced it. Where'd it go? Acquisition and redevelopment of blighted properties for housing opportunities. Totally love it. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Patrick. Commissioner Belton? Thank
I
you.
don't believe it.
Yes.
All right, Madam Chair, I will motion to recommend deferral of this item and with the posture of accepting the substitute at the next BOC meeting for the official record. And then between now and then we can hopefully just, if there's any wordsmithing that needs to be done, work on that by the next committee meeting.
And I have a question.
All right, Commissioner Davis Johnson.
So tell me the reason for the deferral and what you're looking at working on.
Well, it's more just
Substitute.
because Commissioner Longspears was one of the sponsors of the legislation,
Right.
and she's not here.
She
but-
had not seen the substitute.
Well, I think that she's been working with Dr. Ferguson, so I think most of it is everyone's agreed to, but just out of deference to her being here to say that she supports moving forward. And he said that he's got some time. Like, we're good. Like, 2 weeks isn't going to slow you up too much, is it?
Well, I've got this and other matters to attend to, so
Okay.
I would appreciate the time.
Yeah.
But you know, if you choose to delay it, we'll have to work with it. That's
Okay. I mean, I think we're going to pass it. At this point, we're really just waiting for, the formality of the committee being here and present.
Okay.
So I would say I would feel confident moving forward with any plans you've got.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I don't hear anyone against it, and we have everyone here. So,
Sure. Understood.
Comment.
so just the 2 weeks.
Could it? Okay.
So that would be.
Can you maybe pass it with the condition for input? A question. I mean, sort of give time.
So we come back November 18th would be the next BOC meeting. Does that sound right?
Okay.
Because it's a double week.
Okay. Let me ask. Did you say that you needed the time and we needed to defer this?
Yeah. Well, quite frankly, the faster that we can get started, because everybody's busy within the county as well as outside of the county when it comes to community stakeholders. We're also getting into the holiday season, and so that complicates scheduling from that particular aspect. And so I would prefer to have more time than less time, so I can really deliver a well-developed product back to PECS committee and back to the board of commissioners come January.
Thank you so much.
That's what I would.
All right. Yes, and that's not a problem, just to make sure that you have the time that's necessary. So with that, I'm open to a motion. Commissioner, you're going to...
All right, well, I want to keep things moving. I don't want to slow things down necessarily. And I think Commissioner Longspears just couldn't be here today, so I know her policy director is here. Are we good to move forward with it? And there might be some small changes between now and the BOC. Okay, all right. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'll motion to recommend approval, and then we'll just ask all commissioners to provide any last-minute edits or tweaks. I think we pretty much have the core agreed to. So if there's just like some small things, we can work through that between now and the November 10th meeting, which is next Monday.
I should also emphasize as well as we start thinking through the programmatic elements, there is an opportunity for any kind of, deeper level details that you'd like to discuss for us to visit upon those matters.
Yeah.
So the door's even not completely closed, as long as we're still in.
All right, just wanted to make sure that, you had the time that was necessary and be able to, have the input and suggestions of the commissioners, that we're not holding anything up, but we're not, pushing anything forward prematurely either. So, this is your wheelhouse. You're the expert, and, here to work with as much as, we can to try to have the best, product and project possible. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, call the vote.
All right. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you so much, Dr. Ferguson. I appreciate you. The next item is 2024-1548. All commission districts, a resolution by the Board of Commissioners of DeKalb County designating 1/8 of the hotel motel tax revenue for an affordable housing trust fund beginning in 2025 pending fund approval.
All right, Madam Chair, just pursuant to the last agenda item, I will motion to recommend withdrawal of this item, and I'll have just a brief comment.
All right.
If you'll second it.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so again, thank you to Dr. Ferguson for working on the details of establishing the Affordable Housing Fund as well as the funding mechanism. And so because that is moving forward, I feel comfortable withdrawing this item. There was always the question of what the revenue source is going to be. And so now that we've identified sort of a standard 3 years of dedicated funding, I think the hotel motel tax revenue can now be sort of just continuing to focus on all the other things that we use it for. I think we did discuss in the Affordable Housing Fund that families that are living in extended stay hotels would be able to access some of the programs and other goals of the housing fund that we are seeking to do. And so that was the idea, is that we would try to find some support for those families living in those situations who are paying the hotel motel tax but aren't receiving any benefit from it. So with that being said, thank you again to Dr. Ferguson for helping us fine tune everything and narrow in on the strategy. So I'm excited to move forward with the plan that's been outlined.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Terry. And again, thank you so much for all your hard work, Dr. Ferguson, going into these efforts. With that, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now we're on page 2, agenda item 2025-1206. All commission districts, change order number 4, contract number 1323040, comprehensive trail Greenway Master Plan multi-year for the use of the Department of Recreation, Parks, and Cultural Affairs. This contract consists of providing professional planning services to include the creation of a comprehensive master plan that will incorporate expansion and creation of future greenways within the county's existing network of over 33 miles of greenways. This request seeks to ratify a previously provided contract term increase. It also seeks to extend the contract term through December 31st, 2025, awarded to Tool Design Group. Great morning, Paige. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Fantastic.
So recommended to approve. This is a contract term extension only with Tool. We embedded a parklet design within the initial award. So this is just a term extension. We will be done by the end of the year.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I know you guys have been putting in a lot of work. I actually just looked at it the other day, the binder you had given us that had the Greenway Master Plan that we had. Commissioner Terry, do you have any thoughts?
No,
Questions?
everything looks good here. Yeah.
All right. Any other commissioners have any thoughts, any questions? Seeing none.
All right. Motion to recommend approval of item 1206.
Second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The next item, 2025-1306, All Commission District Change Order Number 1 to Contract Number 20000041 and Change Order Number 2 to Contract Number 200037, Architectural and Engineering Services for Parks and Rec, multi-year for the use of the Parks and Rec, consists of providing on-call architecture and engineering design services. This request seeks to increase contract funds to support Corp's water infrastructure financing program application, awarded to American Engineers Incorporated and Kimberly Horn and Associates, Inc. The total amount not to exceed $1,264,700. Thank you so much again for being here on this item page.
Yes, recommend to approve. This is doing two things. It's supporting the SWIFT-P loan, which is part in coordination with Watershed Management, Public Works, Sanitation. We have 3 dams that are sub-projects to the overall loan, which is Chapel Hill, Exchange, and Arabia. Those are all in the National Inventory Database. And then the breakdown between AEI and Kimberly Horn is associated. It's also assigning a SPLOST category because they will be funding the $2.5 million, our match for the SWIFT-P loan.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Terry?
No, I think everything is in order here. I see it's for Arabia, Chapel Hill, and Exchange Park dams. So I know Glen Emerald, so basically in the same style as Glen Emerald, sort of that level of intensity.
Yes, so depending on the hydrology, they'll be there either be upsizing the spillway capacity or maybe even the height of the dam, correct?
Okay. Is it, just for reference, is it possible are there any preliminary designs for these 3 dams, or are we just the beginning phases of this?
We're at the beginning phases, so survey is going to tell us what we need to know, and then they'll make recommendations based on the survey.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. All right. I'm good, Madam Chair.
Are there any other questions or comments from any other commissioner? All right. With that, I accept the motion.
Motion to recommend approval of item 1306.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That item has moved on and has been approved. The next item, 2025-1370, all commission districts, change order number 1 of contract number 1301248, feed hay and shavings for Little Creek Horse Farm, annual contract with 2 options to renew for use by the Department of Recreation, Parks and Cultural Affairs. This contract consists of purchase and delivery of feed, hay, and shavings for Little Creek Farm. It seeks to ratify previously provided contract terms. It also seeks to extend the contract through August 31st, 2026, awarded to Conyers Pet and Livestock Supply, Inc., DBA the stock market, the amount not to exceed $200,000.
Again, recommended to approve. This is doing 2 things to increase and also extend the contract that we utilize at Little Creek Horse Farm.
Thank you so much. Are there any thoughts or questions? Okay. From any other commissioners? Seeing none, I'll accept the motion.
Motion to approve.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next item, 2025-1494, all commission districts to approve 2025-2026 agreement with DeKalb County School Nutrition for $70,470 to furnish after-school snacks for the Department of Parks and Recs. Page.
Recommended to approve. This is for after-school snack for the 2025-2026 school year, and this is in conjunction with the Board of Education.
Fantastic. And do we know, is there a particular school that this is going to, or is just going to supplement our DeKalb County schools overall?
So this goes to our rec centers. So any students that are brought to the rec centers during the school year are provided a healthy after-school snack. And then we have basically a grant agreement with the Board of Ed for reimbursement.
Right. And how about our intergenerational centers? Is it, okay.
That is included as well.
All
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
Fantastic. Commissioner Terry?
Yes, and so it says it's funded by RPCA's operating budget?
Yes, so how, like I said, it's a grant, so basically we create the purchase order, pay it, and then we apply for the grant on the backside. So the agreement that you see in front of you is an estimated number of after-school snacks, but we don't turn any child away. So if there's more that are needed, we can go back and adjust it as needed.
Okay. So will there be any snacks provided between now and the end of the year?
Yes, we're currently in that process. This is, it goes to the board, their board first, and then comes over to us, and then we'll go back again.
Okay. And how many, what's the estimated number of children that are being served at these locations?
I want to say it varies between 100 to 300 students. It just really depends on the rec center.
Okay. And this is based on the young people that are signed up for the programs at the rec center, or they're actually just coming in just for this?
No, they're signed up at the recreation center. So it's children needing care after school.
Gotcha. Okay, so the budget is literally just designed to cover the kids that are in programs with Parks and Rec, just so they have snacks.
Correct. And they're also coming from the school. We go pick them up at the school and bring them to the rec center, but then there's also children at the rec center as well that are served. Yes, they're both.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there, Commissioner Bolton?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just two clarifying questions. So the 70,000 will carry us through the end of 26?
The school year of 2026, so May of 2026. May. So this is just after school snack during the school year. It's not summer program. That's a whole separate agenda.
I gotcha. Yeah. Well, my second question may not even be relevant because I was thinking through December 26, even if we weren't during the summer. Okay. But essentially what I was thinking was 70,000 if we were going through that duration. Was it to help fill a gap? Because, you know, that isn't a whole lot of money for snacks, but it makes sense. So I yield back. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Bolton. Commissioner Patrick? Thank you so much. Commissioner Terry?
Motion to approve item 1494.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much, Paige. Next item is 2025-1492 for those following along on page 3, top of it, page 3, all commission districts to approve the American with Disabilities Act transition plan prepared for Parks and Rec by the Bureau Veritas.
Again, recommended to approve. This is also part of our CAPRA accreditation. So this is a transition plan. So two things of note. I do believe you have an abbreviated version in front of you. Basically, over 70 sites within the park system were evaluated. So recreation centers, pavilions, concession buildings, for any barriers that may exist for accessibility. What that did is it triggered some recommendations within the document, and that's why it's pretty hefty. It was broken into capital investments over 10 years, so in order for us to work it in our capital budget. So again, recommended to approve.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Terry? All righty. I'll accept the motion.
Motion to approve item 1492.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye. You seconded.
Thank you. The next item is 2024-1237. All commission districts request for Director of Planning and Sustainability to amend the DeKalb County Nuisance Ordinance to add a closure of chronic nuisance properties ordinance chapter. And I believe this is your item, Commissioner Patrick. So would you like to speak to that?
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been a lot of work that I've done on it, and I will say that I've 100% relied on my legal team, the county's legal team, pardon me, not my legal team. If I could ask either Attorney Phillips or Agner, thank you.
And I did see that you guys sent out emails, so thank you so much for that. Appreciate you.
If you don't mind, just take us from the top to where we are right now, and then if there are any questions for the committee, I'd love to be able to answer those today if possible.
Okay. Commissioners, I'm going to spare you a full-blown presentation. Ms. Agner has walked you through the high-level bullet points on multiple ordinances for Commissioner Patrick. You have two before you that are ripe for you to consider and discuss if you found any changes in them. That is the blight tax ordinance, and the second one we refer to as the board up permit ordinance. Both of those ordinances, again, we've talked through at a very high level. The blight tax says the county would charge a tax for a blighted property. It would go through a court process to get out of, first to get that designation, and then to get out of that designation, there would be a tax break on the back end for the property owner who was able to fix it. That's the 15-second summary of a complicated ordinance that we've spelled out in detail. The other ordinance, the board up permit, addresses that instance where a property owner chooses to have their property boarded, not for some exceptional circumstance like a bad weather event or something, but they just elect to have it boarded for an extended period of time. That would then be regulated and monitored by the county by having them get a permit. And Commissioner Patrick, I invite you to rescue me if you think that's an unfair summary of the two. We've gone through the details of how each of those work. Ms. Agner has shared with you a lot of detailed information about exactly what's in those ordinances and the construct I've just described for both. There is a third ordinance that you will get some information on soon, but we're still working with Commissioner Patrick before we release that third one. I hope that's a good summary.
Attorney Phillips, it's like you're a professional every day. Thank you very much for your service. Thank you very much for your time, as well as you, Ms. Agler. Thank you. Commissioners, any questions?
Commissioner Terry?
Yes. Well, I think so. These two ordinances are based on state law that allows local jurisdictions to pass these ordinances, correct?
The blight tax is expressly authorized in the Georgia Constitution.
Okay.
The other one is authorized under state law statute 41-2-9, and that relates to counties declaring things as nuisances.
Okay, great. And then other jurisdictions that have enacted similar type ordinances, what are those?
What other jurisdictions?
Yeah.
I know for a fact that the city of Atlanta has a blight tax ordinance. Do you know?
I don't know that we could name right now the board up permit ordinance where that exists in another jurisdiction, but the construct came from Commissioner Patrick under the guise of an extended boarding without the right circumstances has led code to go back and cite folks when the boards come down, and then eyesores when they're not properly boarded in the right colors and those kinds of dynamics. So those kinds of explanations constitute the nuisance that the county has permission to regulate. And again, Commissioner Patrick, rescue me, this is without looking at notes, but that was clearly what you described to us and why we thought it was legally defensible.
That's correct, and just from my own experience within the building code, the building official has some discretion to say, I need this structure built up for security, and I want you to give me a plan that shows how you're going to secure it, and then ultimately that leads to an inspection from the building official who confirms on the site that the plans submitted are sufficient. So it's all within either the state law as referenced or within the building codes themselves that sort of give this opportunity to do. This is just a more formalized, there is a situation, we are saying you need to board it up now, and we're going to inspect it, and then we have the ability to go back and verify that it is clean and safe and still secured over another extended time period.
Okay, understood. And then based on my research on Atlanta that has passed the blight tax ordinance, it looks like because it's authorized under the Constitution, there haven't been any legal challenges. They've, I guess, maybe had it for maybe a year or so. So it seems like it seems to be working on their side. I haven't heard any sort of major negative things that have come out of Atlanta passing their blight tax ordinance.
Commissioner, we're not aware of any lawsuits, but just remember, when you speak to a team of lawyers, lawsuits are not always an indication. The question is what the courts have said in response to any lawsuits. So a challenge isn't always an indication that there's a flawed piece of legislation. A successful challenge in a court finding that there's a problem would be. And we're not aware of any that has said Atlanta's ordinance is flawed and indefensible, improper under the law.
Right, understood. And that's what I was getting at, is because we haven't seen, any challenges, and it appears that Atlanta's system is working, and that we're, in essence, sort of creating our own version of that here in DeKalb. I think I'm ready to move forward with it. I think it's an important tool in the toolbox. Obviously, I think, code compliance, I know Director Clark's here, might, have to discuss in maybe in future meetings about how their capacity and what they'll need to do to actually enforce it, and that whole regimen. But I think, and the planning department as well. But I think, Commissioner Patrick, I think the first step is let's get the ordinance on the books, and this would be great timing, because if we were expecting compliance to and planning to work on this next year, we'd want to make sure their budgets allowed them to have the ability to enforce it and go through that whole process.
I just would like to say that with Commissioner Patrick's express permission, we've been able to share these and make sure that the administration took a look at them, and they're continuing to look, and will continue to give input. I trust COO Williams will direct us if we think we need to make changes, but we've shared them. So they know they're coming. There may be adjustments needed as they continue to evaluate.
Okay, well, I mean, I think to me the first step is let's pass the law, and then the administration has something, how you implement a compliance regime, I think, is subjective to a certain extent. I would argue let's create the law and what the law allows, and then the actual compliance in that process obviously would have to be based on, administrative, capacity and planning and organizational, resources. But hopefully we wouldn't be delaying passing the law while we're trying to figure out how to do something that we haven't passed yet. So I might argue let's pass the ordinance. This is our job. Our job is to pass laws. The enforcement implementation obviously is the department's.
As I understand it, it's just to take a look at how you craft in your legislation the timing for it being effective and the expectation for what's going to happen in the field and carrying it out. That's the nuanced piece that bleeds over into Operations Commission.
Okay. Well, I assume y'all are going to suggest 180 days, right?
Frankly, that's something that's up to you. And
is that in the most recent draft when it gets implemented?
I don't believe so, but that could be a conversation point.
Okay.
I would defer to the user departments in the administration if there was a suggestion on the timing, but I just wanted to point out that is the nuanced piece on operations that's always relevant to give as you adopt your legislation.
Okay. Well, Madam Chair, is it okay for COO Williams to respond back to the implementation date if we were to move forward with the ordinance as drafted?
Of course, COO.
So the question at hand is whether 180 days or some other number is appropriate.
Well, the law department always defaults to 180 days for anything we pass, in my experience. But I mean, I'd say let's do it right away, and let's figure it out. But but I mean, obviously,
and in any instance, this included, we would like the opportunity to evaluate what exactly is going to be expected of us, and then provide here's how long we think it would take. So that's the most ideal situation. Is when before the passage of this or any other ordinance, the administration has an resolution. The administration has an opportunity to, give input and say, all right, here's what we think would be necessary.
Well, I mean, is it possible that you all already have a list of repeating violators of blight? That I think part of this is to acknowledge that there's sort of reoccurring code compliance visits to the same site over and over again. We're not seeing through the current law or the court resolution movement on anything changing. So, I mean, can we just start with how many properties would potentially qualify for the blight tax enforcement mechanism?
So the question is, could we run a report that indicates these are the properties that have X amount, or based on the specific criteria, but X amount of violations unresolved in a given time period?
Yeah, because I think, Commissioner Patrick, feel free to just jump in here, because it seemed like part of the compliance regime would have to be multiple inspections. Once you kind of get this on the books as a blight tax, qualified, if the courts approve it, then you have to sort of just keep going back. So that's probably the capacity
Right,
thing.
and I think the expectation would be is code enforcement having the capacity to do the frequency of inspections that may be required under this ordinance.
Yeah.
But it will take time to generate that report itself, and so it may be once the report or once the ordinance is adopted, perhaps that's the starting point from which all things are assumed or reported on.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Commissioners, if I may, I just want to be very clear that a fundamental technical component of the blight tax ordinance as crafted right now is that a court of competent jurisdiction would declare the property sufficiently blighted to warrant the tax being imposed. That's the seminal piece. I'm hesitant to say how many visits and all of what would be necessary to get that evidence before a court. I wouldn't want us to be boxed into a set number of visits or anything like that, but adequate evidence would have to be presented for a court of competent jurisdiction to make that conclusion, and only then could the tax be imposed.
Understood. Okay. Well, I mean, I think at this point we just need to make an informed guess on what we think the capacity will need, and I'm also assuming that if something sort of gets into the court system, it might not be heard for 3 or 6 months, and so it just seems like part of this discussion is we should get something on the books, because there probably are 1, 2, 3 that, I mean, we probably all can name at least one in our district that's like, y'all should take a look at this one, and just kind of let's start the process moving, and we'll learn as we go. Oh, this is going to take a little extra time. Maybe there's a specific team of co-compliant. I don't know. I mean, I'm just riffing here, but it just seems like if we can get this process going, it's still probably 3, 6, 12 months before you actually fully know what we're dealing with, and I would hate for us to sort of overanalyze everything when we can kind of get the process going.
I don't want to speak out of turn, Commissioner, but I want to offer a recommendation that may be helpful, because I heard you say you're in support and ready to recommend moving forward.
Yes.
Her usual thorough approach, Attorney Agner looked at what's in the current draft to confirm that for you, and it's 120 days. Okay. If that won't suffice before you actually take a vote, we would ask that the user departments inform COO Williams so that we can adjust that number if it needed to be adjusted, and then you would be able to move forward on schedule.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's 120 days. Got it.
If I may add,
so much, Commissioner Terry. Commissioner Patrick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So while speaking, I mentioned the building department, building official. I want to acknowledge that Director Clark, her team is also code certified and very knowledgeable, and so however the administration decides the final department, that's an executive issue. We're just wanting to get the ordinance passed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to just make a suggestion here on I think it's the second page under Section 1 in definitions, particularly the ordinance in and around closure, that we define what a closure is. I'm seeing, I think on the last page 3, Section 3, paragraph 5, it does speak to what a closure is not, but I think we should define specifically what a closure is under the definition section.
We'll take a look at that, Commissioner.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And then, Commissioner Patrick, just trying to understand, and this may be a question also to include Director Clark and/or Director Mitchell or COO in terms of how this nuisance ordinance would work in conjunction with some of the efforts that the county has presently in terms of demolition. And so there are a number of properties that have been, nuisances, right? And one in particularly, just recently in my district, used to be a daycare And so that particular property, along with some others, have been demolished. And so what are the thoughts in and around this ordinance working with some of the efforts the county presently have in terms of, demolishing certain properties?
Yeah, I would suggest that if a property is at the point where it needs to be demolished, that the processes and ordinances that are in place should be continued to be followed. I suspect this is going to be more relevant on larger properties, acreage-wise, and that it will take some type of history, as Attorney Phillips had said. A court will have their expectations of what is a proper amount of documentation and notification to the property owner to say, we're going to go from your property being as it is to being taxed at a higher level because of the problems that go with it. This may also require conversations with other authorities within the county's jurisdiction to collaborate on what happens afterwards. At the end of the day, we don't want to have large taxes on individual properties. We really want to have functional properties. And so I think that's the ultimate goal, which is if it's a problematic property, how do we get it back where it's functional, it's not a negative in the community, and actually it's helping it grow and thrive. And so I would look at this also as potentially a motivating force to say, you have a problem property, we've documented X, Y, or Z in the community, we've looked at property values, we've looked at other activities in the community, and this is a option we think is a way to move forward with improving the community.
I appreciate
So
that.
put another way, it's not to exclude any other options that are out there, but this may be something that's more tailored for larger properties.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for that clarification. Are there any other questions or thoughts? Seeing none, open the floor up for a motion.
Okay, so we got 3 items, and I think you just read the first one, 1237. So what was the recommendation on 1237? Because that was specifically a request for the Director of Planning and Sustainability to add this add a closure of chronic. So just want to make sure we're separating the 3 because they're all a little bit different but related. So is this one the first step?
That's the one where Commissioner Patrick needs a little more consultation with the law department and possibly users. So we were asking for a deferral on that one. The other 2 were ready to go forward.
Okay.
Would a deferral to is it December 16th BOC be sufficient, and then we can figure out a calendar for 2026 if that?
For the first one, just the closure ordinance?
Correct.
Ending in 1237.
Oh yeah, I mean that's fine. Yeah. So the idea is we'd take action on it at least at the last meeting of the year, hopefully.
Yep. Okay. Worst case scenario, and then if not, then we can just put it onto the 26th calendar if there's more time needed.
All right. So I'll motion for item 1237 to be deferred to the final meeting of the year, and with a stop back in PECS, hopefully for finalizing these last little aspects of this particular agenda item.
Second, and just to add, for that item ending in 1237, that's where the suggestion was to add the definition in terms of a closure.
Yeah, so motion
Director
also.
Njuku, did you? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
In my motion, Madam Chair, just to recognize we wanted to add that definition for closure or to clarify that if it needs to be.
And on the border permit ordinance, we will work with the departments. Unfortunately, Commissioner Patrick, we need to make sure we're clear on their input, so we would ask that one be deferred as well. The blight tax should be ready to go.
Okay, but for 1237, I think Commissioner Messiah was asking about the definition section. Does that?
We took a note.
Okay.
And as I said, Commissioner, we'll take a look at that and work with you to make sure we address that properly.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Terry?
Yeah, motion to approve.
Well,
I'm sorry, motion to defer. The motion stands, as I said earlier.
Second, all those in favor, and it's to the last meeting
of the year.
Yeah, the year. All those in favor? Aye. All right. And then we're going to jump down to the other item that I believe legal was asking and suggesting that we might work on a little bit more as well. That's item 2024-1239.
and that's related to the establishment of minimum standards for vacant properties, the board up permit particularly. With that, I'm ready for a motion, Commissioner Terry.
Yes, Madam Chair. And then, so deferral, Commissioner Patrick, what did you want to defer that one to?
Let's have it follow the same pattern. So defer to that, I guess, that last meeting in December, and with a previous stop or prior stop at PECS.
Okay. All right. So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much. That's been deferred. And for the last item, that's 2024-1238, all commission districts related to the blighted property tax increase.
Okay, so Madam Chair, since the ordinance appears to be ready for action, I believe that we have gotten approval from the law department in terms of the text. The only thing we're waiting on is whether the 120-day implementation is appropriate. So I figure we can work that out between now and Monday, right, Zach? Is it 120 days? Is it 180 days?
120 or as soon as possible thereafter.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, legally, the ordinance has to have a date, right?
Right.
Certain. I mean, I guess we could always change it later, but 120 days would be what, like April, March 1st?
Can we do 180 days? It takes us through the budget in case there's budgetary needs. We'll have an opportunity to, you know what I mean?
Commissioner Patrick, you good with 180 days?
Absolutely.
I think Attorney Wagner and Deputy County Attorney Phillips, did you guys have something to add to that?
No, we were just here in case COO Williams had a question, or you did, just to help clarify where we were.
No, I think we're good.
Ms. Agner could always answer the details if you had any questions, but it sounds like that solves it.
Yeah, I'm good with that. So I'll motion to approve item 1238 with the change to 180-day upon enactment.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much. Well, thank you, Commissioner Patrick.
Thank you, colleagues. I really appreciate this.
Yes,
thank you to our legal team. Thank you very much. Director Clark, I know you've been involved in this conversation, so thank you very much. And most definitely thank you to CEO Cochran Johnson for this opportunity. I appreciate being able to partner with her on this, so thank you very much.
Thank you so much, you all, for being here. This concludes our special call PECS meeting. I appreciate your participation here. We were able to get more of the county's business done, so thank you so much for coming in.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much again.